Hello and welcome to News Round, where we bring you a recap of stories that made headlines during the week. Coming up, Senate confirms appointment of 7 new nominees. And a joint health sector union commences 7-day nationwide warning strike. Ten persons die in Oyo Building Collapse. Plus, Botswana's opposition party, UDC, wins general election. Incumbent President Mugweti Masisi concedes defeat. And News Round begins from the upper chamber, where the Senate has confirmed the appointment of 7 ministerial nominees of President Bola Tinubu submitted to the chamber last week for accelerated consideration. The confirmation follows the conclusion of a 4-hour screening exercise on the floor of the hallowed chamber.
24 hours after the postponement of the screening exercise for 7 ministerial nominees of President Bola Tinubu, lawmakers converge on the second day of plenary to kickstart the process. It begins with the suspension of the Senate rules to admit the nominees, beginning with Dr. Nentawe Yilwatda, who replaces the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Betta Edu.
I was born to late Reverend Toma Ilwada in a community little village called Dungun.
The nominee receives an effusive validation of his pedigree as he speaks about his strategies.
The first thing you do is you get data, because data is a king in resolving challenges in the 21st century. And this is what we may do as a country or as a ministry if given the opportunity.
The next nominee, who is also a former Minister of Police Affairs, Mr. Megari Dingyadi, is admitted next. His wealth of experience clearly precedes him.
You serve as a minister and you have been returned again today. So I don't know what new we are going to ask you.
Lawmakers ask that he take a bow and leave. Ambassador Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu, appointed as Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, is then admitted into the chamber.
I am a mother of 3.
She elucidates plans for the ministry.
Our Ministry of Foreign Affairs have to prioritize ensuring that missions abroad actually reflect the true magnitude of Nigeria's standing in the Committee of Nations.
Lawmakers from the southeast spared no words in their commendation of her intellectual capacity and even beauty.
She's very intelligent, very, very charismatic, and very beautiful.
Please restrict your comments to our resume.
The legislators also screened one of their own, a former Speaker of the Kano State House of Assembly. The senators also gave the nod to the minister of the newly created Livestock Ministry from Adamawa State after what they describe as an impressive track record.
Give us a brief summary of your vision for the new ministry.
In the immediate, our intention is to incentivize all herders and other animal rearers to remain where there are grasses, and the ministry will intend to work with other critical stakeholders to make sure that this vision is realized.
The next nominee and immediate past special advisor in the office of the Vice President, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, is also admitted into the chamber.
What we now need to deliver is the convergence of these 2 pillars of monetary and fiscal policy with trade, investment, and industrial policies to further drive growth.
The 4-hour screening exercise concluded with the Minister of State for Education, Dr. Shuaiba Ahmed.
I commenced my NYSC at the Department of Education, University Kano, between 2003 to 2004. I also assessed different policies at state and federal level, including gender and social inclusion, school safety.
Clearly impressed, lawmakers agree that she takes a bow. All 7 nominees are then confirmed by the Senate. Consequent upon the confirmation of these 7 new ministers, the lawmakers have apparently ramped up the expectations of these ministries with a determination to double down on their oversight for accelerated development across the country. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
And away from the Senate, the Joint Health Sector Union has declared a 7-day warning strike to protest the alleged government's failure to address their members' welfare issues. The unions have also threatened to embark on an indefinite strike if their demands are not met.
We begin in Lagos, where health workers in public hospitals under the umbrella of the Joint Health Sector Unions and Assembly Healthcare Professionals observed partial compliance with the directive by their leadership to embark on a 7-day warning strike. A visit to the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, Luth, shows health workers at work and a busy atmosphere.
What we are saying is, pay all these areas. We aren't talking about the new one. That's the new one that is not taking anybody home. They just pay people 40,000 naira flat, and for the senior staff, eventually we will be about 30,000 naira because they are going to remove tax from it. But what we are saying is, all this money that has even lost value, 2014, that has even lost value, bring the money.
You can imagine if we had to suspend a strike just went on in 2022 because of a dialogue with the government and promises from them that they are going to attend to the demands of JOESU. And many months later, the demands are still not met.
Still in the Southwest, the Joint Health Workers Union members at the University College Hospital, Ibadan, the Oyo State capital, joined their counterparts across the country for the warning strike.
This is the partial treatment we've been experiencing in the health sector. We appreciated the fact that he came in person to discuss with us. So we respected him for it, and we suspended the strike. Now it's over a year and nothing has been done.
In the South-South region, a visit to the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital showed that there were some members who came to work, but they were addressed and asked to go home by the chairperson of the state union.
We really want to ensure that total compliance is observed. And from our national, we also got letters from the hospital services in Abuja was sent to all CMDs in all the hospitals. Instead of the federal government to do the needful by respecting their own side of bargaining, rather they decide to intimidate the health workers by saying they should sign attendance register, which is not pleasant to us.
And at the nation's capital, the National Secretary of JOESU, Martin Egbanui, told Channels Television that the unions are yet to receive any invitation from the government for a reconciliation meeting.
We are still expecting formal invitation from government on this matter, especially the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment, who has the mandate of the law, the Trade Dispute Act, to conciliate on this matter. We expect that such official communication will be done, but we also emphasize, because we're hearing issues that may border on victimization or sanction of our members, we emphasize that the law that prescribes this dispute, making the dispute that no one should be victimized, no member of JOESU should be sanctioned.
JOESU members are demanding, among other things, the adjustment of consolidated health salary structure, the payment of outstanding salaries in health professional regulatory councils and agencies, as well as the upward review of the retirement age of members from 60 to 65 years for health workers and 70 years for consultants.
And in Oyo State, at least 10 persons died in a building collapse that took place at the Jegede Onora local government area. The general manager of Oyo State Fire Services, Akinyemi Akinyika, says 8 other persons with various degrees of injuries are currently receiving treatment at the hospital.
Residents of Jegede area of Olunloyo are in shock and mourning the loss of at least 10 residents of the area in this collapsed building which happened in the wee hours of the day. The news of those who did not make it out of the collapsed building was unpleasant for their relatives. The building, situated at number 24, Zone A, Jigede, Olunloyo, in Onoara local government area of Oyo State, was said to have collapsed in the early hours of the day during a heavy downpour in the area. Residents started making frantic efforts to get authorities so that those trapped could be rescued. But by the time help arrived from men of the fire service, the police and allied emergency services, 10 bodies were evacuated from the rubble.
I mobilized all the agencies that can assist us on the incident. And they all came en masse and timely. And they rescued, at least they rescued about 9 now has been in the hospital. 9 people are in the hospital now. Some mothers. We have a critical condition of a boy. And the Ministry of Health has moved that boy, including 2 psychiatric patients, and one man also. Making 4 of them, the Ministry of Health have moved them to the General Hospital Ring Road. This is a highly disastrous incident.
The owner of the building is at the hospital receiving treatment at the moment. His wife told journalists that his children and some grandchildren lost their lives in the unfortunate incident. The Oyo State Commissioner for Lands, Housing and Urban Development, however, believes the building must have been distressed before the eventual collapse.
To forestall occurrence of this ugly incident, that's why His Excellency Governor Makinde approved recently what I will call building amnesty, whereby buildings in the state are expected to have a building approval.
Meanwhile, the Oyo State Police Command in a release says investigation into the matter is underway, but in the meantime, adequate security has been put in place in the area to prevent hoodlums from taking over the incident scene and to protect the lives and property of other residents within the jurisdiction.
Welcome back. Well, the Independent Broadcasting Association of Nigeria is appealing to the Nigerian Broadcasting Commission to collaborate and come up with more supportive broadcasting code to encourage the practice in the country. Conversations around Nigeria's failing digital switchover and solutions to the negative perception form part of deliberations at the inaugural annual general meeting of the Independent Broadcasting Association of Nigeria in Lagos. Take a listen.
In brotherhood we stand. Since its formation, the Independent Broadcasting Association of Nigeria is holding its first annual general meeting at the corporate headquarters of Channels Television in Lagos.
For disseminating information.
Some members are here physically, while others have joined virtually.
You are welcome, sir.
I will faithfully.
The first agenda of the day is the inauguration of the members of the Board of Trustees. Chairman CEO of Channels Television, Dr. John Momo, is the chairman, joined by Dr. Ahmed Ramalan, Remi Olalemi, and Tony Dara as fellow board members.
Nigeria Independent Broadcasting Sector.
So help.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Next is the inauguration of the Executive Council members.
I will execute my duties.
IBAN Chairman Dr. Ahmed Ramalan said the future of Nigeria's media industry relies heavily on stakeholders' ability to collaborate effectively.
IBAN will articulate the potentials of the Nigerian broadcast industry to foster strategic partnership. The new IBAN believes that media industry should use the current difficult situation faced by the broadcast industry as an opportunity to correct our business operational models.
Put your hands together for Dr. John O. Momo. The chairman of the Board of Trustees and Channels Media Group CEO, Dr. John Momo, touched on the impact of digital disruption, dwindling advertising revenues, and the role regulatory bodies must play to engender industry growth.
Today's viewers have unprecedented choices at their fingertips, and traditional broadcasting models must adapt to keep pace with this shifting landscape. One other crucial area we must address is the NBC Code. This almighty code. Currently, it imposes several restrictions that hinder our ability to operate competitively and flexibly. We call upon the National Broadcasting Commission. We call upon the DG, who is graciously here today, to engage with us and develop a more friendly broadcasting code, one that aligns with international regulatory standards and acknowledges the unique needs of Nigerian broadcasters. A code that is transparent, supportive, and forward-thinking will empower us to innovate, to grow, and to contribute to Nigeria's media landscape.
There are other goodwill messages from regulators and partners of the association.
I will tell you, as we go forward, there's going to be so many engagements with the different bodies. We are going to come to positions of compromise, and we will take the industry forward.
As you gather to explore, innovate, and shape the future of broadcasting in Nigeria, may this conference inspire bold ideas, strengthen collaborations, and reinforce your mission to uphold the higher standards of journalism and public service.
Please always feel free and let us talk. We are always open for ideas. I've seen your initiative around the credit note. I gave them some input. I think it's a wonderful one. Let's see how we could make it happen. So I said to them, can we also make this more often?
The former Director General of the NBC, Professor Armstrong Idachaba, is the guest speaker. He said there was no transparency in the handling of the digital switchover process, despite billions of naira committed to the project.
From my calculation, I know that so far about 53 billion naira has been committed to the DSO by the government of Nigeria. Now, we can't say there's transparency in how the DSO has been managed so far. You know, sadly, as we speak, 2 of my former bosses are standing trial over DSO money. Yes. They are still standing trial since 2015. And I've been to EFCC, invited severally, and ICPC. This is your DSO. This money, who took them? Who did this? Fortunately, yeah, my signature is not on any of them. IBAN, I think again, it is time to take ownership of the DSO. For me, you are the apparent owners and major investors and stakeholders in this project.
So my pleasure on behalf of IBAN.
IBAN is seeking to strengthen relationships among members, foster collaborations in production and training, drive innovation, facilitate knowledge exchange, and raise broadcasting standards across Nigeria. Dare Ido, Channels Television News.
Now to the court, where Justice Obiora Egwatu in the Federal High Court of Abuja has granted bail to 119 persons accused of taking part in the End Bad Governance protests, the sum of 10 million naira each, with 2 shorties in like sum.
Some End Bad Governance protesters, mostly minors, looking malnourished, at the Federal High Court Abuja for the arraignment on a 10-count charge bordering on treason, intent to destabilize Nigeria, inciting to mutiny by calling on the military to take over government from President Bola Tinubu, among others. One of the protesters collapsed in the courtroom and 4 were hurriedly rushed out as they couldn't stand on their feet. Looking very sickly, they wriggled in pain on the floor of the courtroom.
They can't even hear. The prosecutor should do their business.
Arraigned in 2 batches, the protesters were arrested and detained during the August 1 to 10 nationwide protest in Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, Zaria, Katsina, Gombe, and Jos. They all pleaded not guilty. The trial judge, Justice Obiora Egwatu, granted them bail of 10 million naira each and to sureties in like sum. He also held that the sureties are to submit their international passport with the court registrar alongside passport photographs. The sureties are also to swear to an affidavit of means.
This young person has been arrested since the 2nd day of August 2024. No food. Over 3 months. No food. They've been left without clothing, without housing, without proper care. They are looking very malnourished. As you can see the videos that are flying around social media. You're informed that they are taking Gary. They were kept at the Kuje Correctional Center police and at the IRT, the notorious IRT at SAS Abattoir. At SAS Abattoir. Now, this is the facility that has held our young children that have been kept by this government over allegations of attempting to overthrow the president. The question now comes to how can a 12, 13, 14-year-old boy who is looking very frail and malnourished attempt to overthrow the president? That is a matter for another day.
Counsel to the federal government, however, disagrees that they are all minors.
These boys that we brought to the court today, all of them are adults. Most of them are married men. None of them is a minor. Some of them are university graduates. The small kids you are seeing here, they came with some of their parents to come and greet their loved ones. They are not even the real suspect standing trial in this case. These boys were arrested in Kaduna and Zaria. These young boys are trying to destabilize Nigeria using the Russian flags and other countries, calling on the military to remove our president. Is it fair to even remove the state governors that they don't want democracy again? If you don't like democracy, are we forcing you? You go back home and sit.
The case has been adjourned to January 24, 2025 for substantive hearing. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
And a few days after Northern governors voiced their reservations about President Bola Tinubu's tax reform bills currently before the National Assembly, the National Economic Council has advised the president to withdraw the bill in order to allow for broader consultation. At a meeting presided over by Vice President Kashim Shettima in Abuja, members of the council agreed that withdrawing the bill would pave the way for more comprehensive consultation and consensus building among key stakeholders.
State governors, ministers, and other members of the National Economic Council arriving at the council chamber in the State House. With the arrival of the Vice President, the meeting commences. Almost 5 hours later, a delegation arrives to outline the key resolutions reached.
Council therefore recommend the need to withdraw the bill currently before the National Assembly on tax reforms so that we can have wider consultations and also build consensus.
NEC also emphasized the need for increased collaboration between state and federal agencies in response to the national emergency caused by flooding.
To date, there are about 34 states have been affected, 217 local governments, 1,374,557 persons already affected, and 740,743 were displaced nationwide, 321 persons dead, and 2,854 injured. About 201,000 houses affected, and 258,000 cultivated farmlands also destroyed.
The Minister of Finance briefed on interventions being taken to address the high cost of living in the country.
These direct transfers to the people on the social register that has been put together by all levels of government and is being verified. And so people are paid after they have been uniquely identified biometrically, and they are paid digitally through a bank account or mobile wallet. And those payments have been rolled out. We have reached 5 million households, 25 million Nigerians, and first and second payments are being made. Food is critical, and we all know about the increased cost of food at this particular time. And it's a question of affordability and availability, and it's all about supply. We do have a short-term program for millers to bring in raw materials, brown rice in this instance, to be able to mill and sell. And we are watching, because it's going to be duty-free and levy-free, the price will be lower, and we will monitor very carefully.
State governors were encouraged to enroll in a program that is being supported by the World Bank and geared towards providing infrastructure and services to internally displaced persons and host communities across the country. From the Presidential Villa, Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
And finally, a news round. There's a political shakeup in Botswana. Citizens have rejected the ruling Botswana Democratic Party in the just concluded general elections. Local media reports that opposition party, Umbrella for Democratic Change, has won by a landslide, citing results from more than half the constituencies. The Botswana Democratic Party, in power since independence in 1966, has won only 4 parliamentary seats. As of Friday morning, it looks set to be replaced by the Umbrella for Democratic Change. The UDC holds overwhelming lead in the partial results, making its candidate, Duma Boko, the favorite to become the president of a southern African country that is one of the world's biggest producers of mined diamonds. And those were the top stories for the week. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.